Hey, Rocky, you know what's happening at the end of this month?
What, Eric?
Yeah, more whiskey drinking. Yes, it's
Sure.
a little event known as Burns Night, Burns Suppers,
And my birthday. Here, there.
and your birthday.
Yes. I'll drink then too.
And so, yeah, this question relates to Burns Suppers. Jared Bruce asked us, what are some good substitutes for haggis for a Burns Night supper? Is there a traditional alternative menu option?
A good substitute for haggis. It depends on what you're doing. If you're looking for vegetarian haggis, I think it exists.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's not going to be.
There is vegetarian haggis.
Yeah, I don't know how haggis-esque it will actually be. I don't know if I would ever try it. I would never try it. I'll make that statement right here, right now. But yeah, it's good. There's no substitute. I mean, like the haggis is kind of the centerpiece for burn suppers, and
right.
You have an entire address to the haggis. So I don't know if there is a good substitute.
You can't. I mean, it's not really a burn supper without a haggis. I mean, it is basically the star of the show. So I don't see how you could do that. I do think there are ways you could make a haggis which would be not a haggis, and we can talk about that maybe. But you really can't have a burn supper without a haggis, I would argue.
Yeah. The purpose of a burn supper is to celebrate the life and works of Robert Burns, and it is to steep yourself in not just Robert Burns' works, but also the music, the songs, like all kinds. Like you're steeping yourself in the culture, and the haggis is kind of part of that. You're experiencing the whole thing and putting together a whole cultural experience. If you're actually putting on the dinner, or you're going to one for an entire cultural experience, so I would say don't let it stop you from having a burn supper. Like if you just cannot stomach haggis, no pun intended. I didn't actually mean that one. And you need to substitute a meatloaf because it's just immediate family or something like that, and nobody really wants haggis, or they're not brave enough. Fine, do a meatloaf. Maybe do a mock thing. But at this this is the cutting of the haggis. But at the same time, it's part of it is experiencing the different cultures and experiencing what your ancestors have done and experiencing different things and getting out of your comfort zone a little bit. So it's kind of, I won't say defeats the purpose to not have a haggis, because you can still get at it with the ancillary stuff you involve at the event, but it's kind of a seminal part of the event.
Yeah, there's kind of you're definitely tying both hands behind your back to do a burn supper without a haggis. But I know that there is a history of people trying to do burn suppers with not a quote unquote traditional haggis for various reasons. Like you couldn't really get them in this country for a long time. Regulations on imports have been relaxed, but you still are not getting the offal organ meats content necessarily in this country that you do in other countries. But
that full lung flavor.
Yeah, but you can buy haggis that in this country. And I'm not talking about canned. You can actually buy haggai. You can go out and hunt your own, of course, if you're good and you're in the right region. Easier in the Midwest though, for some reason. But no, seriously, there is vegetarian haggis out there, and there are lots of recipes. The secret to the flavor of a haggis is really in the spices and the fat content.
Yep.
So I've actually made a pseudo haggis in a crock pot I used a combination of pork and lamb ground meat. And the spices are actually classic medieval to early modern period spices like black pepper, nutmeg, clove, I think is one, a few other things like that. And so it's about the spice content. And if you have tried other early period foods, the profile is actually not unfamiliar. And you don't even have to worry about the whole it's inside a stomach. Well, the casings are almost invariably synthetic cases nowadays. So here or in Scotland.
And if you're looking for a haggis for your burn supper, or if you want to try haggis, any time of the year, is it the Scottish Gourmet?
Yeah.
Check out the Scottish Gourmet. That's our friends Andrew and Anne. Very, very wonderful people. They make. Andrew is from Scotland. He's an expat, as it were. very, very nice people. They have the best haggis that I've had in America outside of Scotland.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. So don't skimp on the haggis. You know, if you have to make a substitute, find a way to make a substitute. But I wouldn't try to do a burn supper without one. I mean, what's a traditional main course in Scotland that would be one you don't think of as the national food? I mean,
I have no idea.
Steak.
Yeah. Now, and I'll point this out as well. If you are the one hosting a burn supper, even if make sure your guests don't, and you're looking for a substitute for haggis, make sure your guests don't want to try it or will not try it, and make sure that they're all aware that you're doing something different with that course, because what you don't want is to have somebody disappointed showing up for a burn supper because they're all excited to try haggis, and then they walk in the door and you're like, oh, here's our meatloaf, because, not many of us really like it. We weren't sure. And then we're like, oh, man, I really wanted to try it now.
Oh, why the haggis?
It's kind of one of those things like, think of it this way. It's one of those things like, for me, fish. I will never, ever go out to a restaurant or order fish or order something that I don't know if I'm going to like. But if I'm at someone's house and they have it as a meal or as part of the meal or whatever, then, okay, I'll expand my horizons and I'll take a little bit, I'll try a little bit just to see if I like it or not. Okay. I'm allowed to test the water without dropping $20-25 on a fish meal that I'm like, oh, I hate this. Take it away. Does that make sense?
Kinda.
Sure.
I mean, you should do your best to accommodate your guests, and you should be a polite guest, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think you can find recipes for things that would work if you're really worried about from a dietary standpoint or something like that. But don't just. I can't think of an alternative national cuisine. I mean, pie, black pudding, but it's not the thing. It's not the thing.
It's not haggis. There's no ode to black pudding.
There's no Sancy face on a black pudding.
Not with that attitude. You just got to draw it on there. All right, Mr. Ian.
So I'll add that ScottishGourmetUSA.com is the website for the place you mentioned earlier.
Okay.
I had their haggis. It's good. They also do a vegetarian, primarily mushroom-based one I've had.
Right.
It's not haggis, but it's delicious, and I liked it.
and like I said, it's about the spices. Yeah. It really is about the spices. So
I'll add that I host a small Burns night for a few friends, most of whom aren't Scottish. They're kind of amused by it more than anything, and that's kind of fun too.
Were you ever invited?
No,
I wasn't invited.
No, nobody.
I don't consider Ian a
I've
friend.
invited you to my house several times, and you've never come, Rocky.
Wow. Ouch.
But we do haggis, and I've often the last couple of years I've also done a sous vide roast of some kind as a side in case anybody doesn't want the haggis or they just want to try the haggis and have that too. So that's an option. Nice. Some of the folks in the comments have been saying that talking about what other traditional main course there'd be in Scotland. They're talking about tatties and mince. It's a common one, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna have tatties anyway.
Yeah. Usually haggis is served with neeps and tatties.
Neeps and tatties, yeah.
Like
so
turnips
that's kind of there.
Potatoes.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. Roast mouse. I mean, what else did Robert Burns eat? I don't know.
Sheep.
A lot of yeah, actually, but I don't like
Keelan Koo.
Alcohol. He had alcohol for most
of
his
alcohol.
meals.
Yes,
that's fair.
Yes. We're drinking.
It's notable we're all older than he was when he passed.
So what would you guys do? Would you have the temerity, the gall, the cojones to substitute something for haggis at a Robert Burns supper? Let us know in the comments. If you want to see other videos we've done on how to do a Robert Burns supper or the clothing you wear to a Robert Burns supper, check out those videos over there.
Verify your Sancy face.
Don't call my face Sancy.
Oh, you have a lovely face, Rocky.